All right. So, guys, let's begin. So, the last lecture I discussed about one of the utility method delete. Correct? We saw the delete method in file class and how does that work. So, we'll continue from here further and we'll try to cover more utility methods in your file class. What are the further utility methods to be explored? Let's see that. So, the next method that I'm going to use here is to create a folder. Let's say in this N, in folder N, I want to create a folder with P1 name. Okay. How to create a folder? Just use a method mkdir. Now place the cursor, control 1, assign statement to new local variable. Now that returns a boolean value. That returns a boolean value, right? If the folder is created, it will return true. Let's see. Is a folder created? Yes. Now, once a folder is created, if I again try to run this, it will give me false. So it will not overwrite the existing folder. If folder is not there, it will create a folder. If folder is already there, it will not overwrite and create a new folder. Understand this now? When folder is not there, it will create a folder. Folder already there, it will not overwrite and create a new folder. Okay, I hope this part is clear, all of you. Okay, now let's make a note of this. What is the method? Mkdir. It's a non-static method present inside file class. It returns boolean value. It will create folder in given path and it will return true if folder exists, comma. If folder exists, then it will not create a new folder and hence returns false. Okay, it will create a folder in the given path and it will return true. If folder exists, then it will not create a new folder and hence return false. Is this clear? Please write this particular program. Still writing, people? Write the program. Now, if you want to delete a folder, guys, we can use the same delete method. See this here? The same delete method we will have to use. All right. Is this clear, everyone? Now, folder is deleted. Can you see that here? If I rerun, it will return false. I hope this part is clear. Please make a note of it quickly how to delete a folder in the given path. Done. Now, I want to create a file. Okay, we saw how to create a folder mkdir make directory. I want to create one file with the name t1 with the name t1.txt. Now, whenever you want to create a file, we'll use create new file method f dot create new file. But you observe, moment I write the code, there is already an exception. If I take the cursor closer to this error message, it now gives me unhandled IO exception, right? Unhandled IO exception. Now, what is this unhandled IO exception? What do you mean by that? Observe here. So now we are going to paste this here, okay, while creating file. Okay. Now observe what is unhandled exception. Can you read this? IO exception is a general exception that occurs when there is an issue in input output operations, such as file reading or writing. Right? When you're doing file reading and writing, we get IO exception. When you encounter unhandled IO exception while creating a file, it means code is attempting to perform file operations like creating a file or writing to a file, but it hasn't accounted for a potential IO errors. Correct? Now see, let me tell you why this exception occurred. Now half of the information given here is not correct. Okay? Now whenever I tell it's a compile time exception, please understand whether your program is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Compile time exceptions are something that will definitely occur even when your program is right. It is like if a police person catches you, traffic police person, okay, if he catches you, even if everything is right, he will still put a fine because he has stopped you. It is very rare that after stopping someone, he will let him go without paying the fine. Correct? You're wearing a helmet, you're riding your bike properly, everything as per the rule. But still, what happens now? Because he has stopped you now, he will now tell, okay, old fines are pending. Forget about now, nothing wrong. But old fines are there on your vehicle. You please pay the fine for it. Correct? So now, when we are talking about compile time exceptions, it is something like this. Your code is correct. There is no problem creating a file. There is no problem writing into the file, reading, writing, creating a file. There is no problem. Why, sir? Why do you tell there is no problem? Observe. I have G drive in my system. I have this path, correct? Folder N exists. This path exists. I have enough memory in my computer. So while creating a file, there should not be any problem. Correct? If there is no enough memory in my computer, I can agree that shortage of memory, file creation is not happening. Or it might be that I've given the path of the file wrong. I've given E drive. I don't have E drive in my system. I have only C drive and G drive. E drive is missing. Fine. So when everything is correct, you notice still this throwing exception. So why it is throwing exception? Because compile time exceptions are like you have to handle before you continue with the further coding. So we are going to take here IO exception. Is this clear, everyone? And let's write here e dot print stack trace. If the file is created, it will return what? True. And if the file we are unable to create, why we are unable to create, we'll see that. Now see, I just surrounded that in try catch. I did not modify the code here. Yes or no? Okay, see, true. You remove try catch, the same code will give you unhandled exception, which means compile time or checked exceptions are something which is mandatory to be handled. Whether you are right or wrong, that is secondary. The primary thing here is compile time exception means surround in try catch block. And if you do not surround in try catch block, it will not work. Is this clear? Everyone? Everybody got this? Now, file is created. Can we see this here? Is the file created? Yes. Matches with my system time. Just a minute back, it got created. Now, if I rerun, it will not overwrite the file. So this is designed in a very smart manner. If already there is a file with the name t1.txt, already the file exists with this name in the given path, do not overwrite the file. File is not there, then create a new file. Are you understanding? Everyone? Yes. हाँ ना तो बोल दो भाई. हाँ समझ आ रहा है. कहाँ पे? कहाँ क्या डाला है? Abstraction R. एक्सेप्शन क्यों आ रहा है? कहाँ पे एक्सेप्शन आ रहा है? तो कंपाइल टाइम एक्सेप्शन का मतलब ही ये कि certain code that has been written down. If you open this file now further, you will see here a throws keyword. I'll come to that later. Why that exception is occurring, for that we should understand throws keyword, right? Whenever there is a throws keyword, what's happening now, we'll talk about that in the further lecture. Let's not include that here. That's all this throws keyword causing us that exception. We will come to that what is throw and throws keyword further. We'll discuss about that further. For now, just understand whenever there is a compile time or checked exception, you need to handle that. If you don't handle the program, you cannot execute further. Okay, fine. Write down the next point. What is that? Create new file. It's a non-static method, returns boolean value. It will create new file in the given path and it will return true. If file exists, then it will not create a new file and hence returns false. Is this clear? All right. So let us write this program quickly. I hope this part is clear. So what all utility methods we have seen so far? Which is the first one? Exist. Second one, delete a file. Then create a folder, mkdir. Then again we saw how to delete a folder. Same method. Delete file, delete folder, same method. Then create new file. This is what we have seen so far. Now let's do one thing. Let's continue and we will look at some more important concepts. Like, I want to count the number of characters in the given path. Okay. So just go to that file and let's add some content here. Let me add some content here. Fine. I want to count the number of characters. Now, when I count the number of characters, it will not just count these characters. Even the white spaces will be counted. So all put together, there is 6, 9 plus 7, which is 16 plus 2, 18. So 8 plus 1, that's nothing but what? 9. 19. Correct? 16 plus 2, 18. Sorry. 18 characters it has to print. Is this clear, everyone? So how will it print now that 18 characters? How do we count that? Simple, we have a length method. Now what is the return type of it? Just place the cursor, press Ctrl 1. Automatically a variable with the return type will get created. You need not worry about it. Change this to val. I should get the output as 18 characters. Do I get that? See this here. Everybody got it? Yes, please make a note of it. Next program. So let's copy, paste this here, and let's define this. It returns long value. Okay. It will count number of characters, including white space in the given file. See, your method is returning long, then you're storing in int, then the bigger data type you're storing in a smaller data type. Without typecasting, then it will not work. Correct? Whenever you're reading a value which is long, you're trying to store in int, which means long value if you're storing in int, it is from the bigger memory or copying the data to smaller memory. So that is downcasting then. Correct? Done. Continue. Please write the program, guys. Simply do not copy. Do not copy blindly. Which one to explain? Once again, Anshuman Kumar. Which topic you are not clear with? Is this clear? Whenever a compile time exception occurs, whether your program is right or wrong, doesn't matter. You have to handle that exception. Keep this in mind. See, I just typed the code. During the compilation phase, this exception has occurred. I did not even run the program. I just typed the code, saved it. What Eclipse does? The Java file it is compiling to .class file. During that compilation, when exception occurs, it is compile time. One thing about compile time exception is whether your program is right or wrong, it becomes mandatory to surround your code in try catch block if it is compile time. Keep this in mind. Okay, let's continue further. Now what I want in the given path, I want to get all the files and folders names. I have T1, go to new, let us select the folder P1, right click, go to new, let us select a file T2. Again, okay, I've created a folder, no problem. I'll create a file now, T3. Fine. I want to get all the names of the files in the given path. And I also want to count how many files are present in this given path. Given path means this one. In this given path, okay, I want to count the number of files and I want to get the names of the files. So we have a method called as list. What is the return type of the method? Now, is it going to return one name or multiple names? Multiple names. It will return F1, F2, right? T1, T2, T3 or whatever names are there. It's returning multiple names. So when it is returning multiple names, should I store that in a variable or array? Array. Why array? Because it's a collection of values, isn't it? So if I now create a variable, what is the array of the type? String. Now how do I print an array? Now to print an array, this time I'll use for each loop. We have already seen for loop. I've not talked about for each loop in your batch. So for each loop, we use it like this. We just write for, give any variable name, string x colon val. Now what this will do? This will copy the value one by one to x automatically. Imagine there are 5 values. It will copy the first value to x, second value to x, third value to x. One by one it will copy the values to what? X. Let's print here x. Now when you run this, observe what is it printing? All the names. Did you understand now? I could have also used here a for loop. But with arrays, with data structures, for each advantages, you need not worry about the number of iterations. As long as all the values of array you don't finish reading it, the loop will keep running. So this time the loop has got executed for 4 times. If I add here another file, I need not worry about changing the loop. If I now create here another folder P2, just observe by doing this now, if I right click, run as Java application, see this here, P1, P2, I did not change the loop. The loop is automatically iterating number of times the data is getting copied from val to x. If your array val has 5 data, then those data will get copied to x one by one 5 times. The loop will run 5 times. Did you understand this? Everyone clear with this? Okay, please make a note of it. खत्म enthusiasm बोला ना 20-25 क्लास के बाद बस अब जॉब दे दो राइट I'm going to start with your Linux classes soon. I will send you all the details about it. Parallelly, it will start. Probably, I might start that in the evening. Is this clear? Your DevOps classes, I'm going to start in the evening parallel. Fine. So we'll go with two classes, morning, evening. If you cannot attend the evening class, do not worry. Nothing to worry about it. Still, the recorded class will be made available. Is this clear? DevOps class access will be only for 6 months. Okay. After that, I'll not give the access. Why, sir, like this? Otherwise, you will take the classes for granted. वैसे भी बाद में कर लेंगे and people will leave that. So I don't want that to happen. Better you keep this in mind. 6 महीने के अंदर करते हो ठीक है, नहीं तो सब्सक्रिप्शन हटा दूंगा DevOps का. सर ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हो? ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा, वरना आप क्या करोगे? You will take it for granted. Recorded class है, मतलब लाइव क्लास लूंगा, उसके बाद रिकॉर्डेड क्लास मिलने के बाद क्या करोगे? बाद में करेंगे और 1 साल निकल जाएगा. I don't want that to happen. Is this clear? So going forward, I'm putting a restriction like this, that most of the people, what they do, they delay taking the classes. So we will keep removing you from the batches after a certain time. In case classes are not completed, then automatically will come to us and give us the reason why classes are not completed. Okay, ठीक है ना? इसीलिए अभी पढ़ाई कर लो, अच्छे से पढ़ाई कर लोगे, फिर रिकॉर्डेड क्लास की जरूरत नहीं है. नोट्स बना लिया, प्रिपेयर्ड हो गए, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. Okay, so after my course is over, 1 month grace period. That's it. Then we will analyze the case and then we will give the access if it is genuine. Okay, right. Now let's continue further. Now the next thing that we are going to talk about is file reader class. So we have studied file class, but let's write the definition for it. So we have here list method. So it's a non-static method. It returns string array values. Okay, it will fetch all the file names in the given path. Now observe, there is one more thing. Now this particular program that I had written here, this is helping me to get all the names. But what if I tell you, I don't want names in the given path, I want the number of files that is present. I don't want all the file names, just count the number of files and give me the count. So how will you count? So we can use this array property length. This is not a method. This is a variable. Is this clear? Right click, run as, observe. What is it? Is this clear, everyone? Everybody got it? Write down the second program, then we'll write the notes and then we'll move ahead further with the next class, which is file reader. Once completed, to let me know, I'll change the screen. Done? Please write this down quickly. Make a note of it. Then we'll start with file reader class. See, a file class cannot read the content from your file. Okay? If you want to read the content from your file, we have to use file reader class. Okay? How to read a file content? That is what we will be exploring next. Please make a note of it. Then we will learn advanced concepts during the project work. Like, I have an Excel. I want to do bulk upload of data. Correct? How do we do that? Let's say I want to send 1000 SMS. All mobile numbers are in Excel. Moment I upload my Excel in the software, our software should be able to send 1000 SMS. How will you do this? Correct? Or let's say I want to add bulk data. I have 100 customer inquiries in Excel. I want to add all that to my software. How will you do it? Just upload the Excel and our program should be able to interact with that Excel, read the data from an Excel and save it in the database. Okay, all that we'll see later. I'm booking a ticket, how PDF file is getting generated. I want to download all my reports in Excel format. How do we do that? So that's all the advanced series of lecture. Now we are just looking at the very basic stuff. Fine? Okay. Done with this? Good. Now we'll start with the next class. Write this down quickly. Okay. File reader. Okay. File reader. Now file reader class. What's the purpose of this class? File reader. It is used to read file data. Okay. Now how do we read a file data? Let's see that. But file reader class will help us to read file data. Write down. We'll quickly see an example how we can read that data. Okay. Write down. Done, guys. Okay. Now see this here. Next one. So let's assume I have a file here. Okay. This is the file which is in T1. Okay. Which is in the given path g:/n/t1.txt. I have some content ABCD. Okay, I have a content called as ABCD. Now what I'll do, I want to read that file content. I'll use a file reader. FR is equal to new file reader, and I'll give here g:/n/t1.txt. Sir, moment I wrote the code, there is an exception. What does this mean? Have I done something wrong? It's telling file not found exception. Have I done something wrong? Or compile time exceptions will be thrown even when the code is correct. There is nothing wrong in our code, right? It's telling file not found. In the given path, file is there or not? In G drive, folder N, t1.txt file is there. But still it will give exception. That is what a compile time exception is all about. Okay, right or wrong, secondary. It will throw exception. We have to surround this in a try catch block. Take the cursor, surround with try catch block. Correct? Now, exception gone. Now we need to read the content. So fr dot read. So when you do reading, what kind of exception it will throw? Read, write, create a new file. It comes under which exception? IO exception. Yes or no? It comes under IO exception. Does it come under file not found? No. When does file not found exception will occur? See this here. I'm giving here a folder name K. Do we have this? Do we have this? No. What it says, file not found. The system cannot find the specified path. I'm unable to find the file. But earlier to this we saw IO exception. When does IO exception occurs? When I'm creating a file. When I'm trying to read the content from the file, something went wrong. When I'm writing the content into the file, something went wrong. Then we get IO exception. Now what's happening in my code? If I want to read a file, fr.read. When I do fr.read, you can see that it's very clearly given. This fr.read method throws what exception? Which means our code is now throwing only one exception or multiple exceptions? Multiple exceptions. Can you tell me what are the multiple exceptions our code is throwing? Line number 11, what exception it is throwing? File not found. Line number 12, what exception it is throwing? IO exception. What is the parent of file not found exception? IO exception. Correct? What is the parent of IO exception? Exception. What is the parent of exception? Throwable. We had already created this diagram. Yes or no? Now, see, very importantly, whenever a program is throwing multiple exception, you cannot handle those multiple exceptions in a child class. What do you mean by that? IO exception, this code will throw IO exception. Now, IO exception, we cannot handle that in file not found. Okay, a child class cannot handle parent exception. Are you understanding now? Okay, so what I will do now, if I change this to IO exception, control space bar, what's happening? If I give a parent class name, all its child class exception. Is file not found child class of IO exception? Is IO exception can handle IO exception? Yes. Which is the parent of IO exception? Exception class. So exception class can also handle all exceptions. Parent class can handle all child exceptions. Okay, but a child class cannot handle parent exception. Is this clear? Now, throwable. Is it parent? Got it now? Everybody clear with this? Yes. So they might ask in interview, what is the difference between using IO exception and exception class? Sir, IO exception can handle its child class exception and IO exception, but its parent exception it cannot handle. Exception class can handle exception related to exception class and its child class exception. Are you understanding now? Did you get this? What I said? समझ आया नहीं आया? हाँ, ऐसा नहीं होता है प्रोजेक्ट में। ऐसा नहीं होगा कि हमेशा एक्शन, देखो ऐसा नहीं होता है कि मैं डॉक्टर के पास जाऊंगा हमेशा एक ही दवाई देके भेजेगा। यहाँ पे what will happen, I'll tell you. When you're working on a project, we will throw specific exception. For example, let's assume I'm searching a record. I entered ID number 1. I did not get the record for ID number 1. Employee data not found exception. I'll create my own exception. Employee data not found exception. Okay. Why am I throwing this exception? Employee not found exception. Why am I throwing this? Because I want to throw this specific exception because record is not found. And based on that exception, I'll educate the user. Look, employee record is not there in the database. So certain exceptions we will purposefully throw when a bad user input is given. Correct? When a bad user input is given, we will have to throw certain exceptions specifically. Okay. For example, mobile phone number should be 10 digit. You entered 9 digit. I will purposefully throw an exception. Invalid input exception. Got it? But certain exceptions we don't know when it will occur. I don't know when this exception will occur. Then we will go with exception class. So when you're using exception class, it is like global exception handler class. If any exception occurs other than my knowledge, employee not found exception we will throw, file not uploaded exception I can throw, because I know that when the file is being uploaded, the file size should be, let's say, 5 KB, but I'm uploading the file of 50 MB. I'm exceeding the size of the file. I'll throw an exception, file size exceeded. I have to throw this exception to educate the user. So I'll throw exception, I'll handle exception, and I'll tell the user this is what has happened. But many a times in the project, exceptions will occur which I did not know. I'm unaware of that and that exception occurred. Then we will use exception class. Exception class, global exception handler. Okay. This file not found, all these things which we are talking about are specific exception class. File not found can handle only file not found exception. It cannot handle any other exception. Got it? So based on the use case, we will decide that later in our project. Did you understand? Yes, no. Online people? Okay. So for now, I'll just write here exception. Now this fr.read, what it will do now? It will use a read method, but it will return int. Correct? So I'm not going to get here a character value. A, B, C, D stored in the file, but it will read A. It will convert that into 97, and what will be stored in this X is 97. If I now print X, it's going to print 97. Right? You see that here now? It's not reading X. Sir, why is it like this? Simple thing, guys. Let's say I'll give you one simple scenario. I have file A. Understand this? I have file A. Okay, a.txt. I have another file B, which is b.txt. I wanted to transfer the content from file A to file B. File A has A, B, C, D. I want to transfer, or let's take it simple. I have a content A. I want to transfer this content A from file a.txt to b.txt. I want to transfer this content A from a.txt to b.txt. How will you transfer? I cannot directly transfer a character. I know that transfer of data will happen in the form of signals. I know that to form a signal, I require binaries. We also know that for binaries, we require a number, but A is not a number. So what it does now, it will now take this read method. What a read method will do? The read method will read this A and represent that as what? 97. Now 97 will be converted into what? Zeros and once, which is nothing but what? Byte code, which is nothing but what? Byte code. This byte code is then converted to what? Signal. And that signal will reach this file. Now this file, upon receiving the signal, will convert the signal to binaries, binaries to number, and number back to. So somewhere internally, when we are reading the content of the file, we read it as numbers. I have this option of reading that file as a number because that content I want to transfer it somewhere else. Okay, is this clear, everyone? So why, sir, why they did it like this? They could have given it as char x. Why the read method return type is int? Why not char x? This is one of the option. Read it. It gives 97. But I can do typecasting, convert this to char, and this will give me back letter A. I hope this part is clear. Everyone got this now? Sure. Make a note of it. Right on. Multiple? We'll see that. We have just taken one example. We have an option to read multiple characters. We'll see that further. Did you understand first program? We'll take many more examples on how to read the file content. I'll discuss about this later. Done, guys? Everyone, today's class, is it clear? Online students clear with today's class? Yes? Okay. So we will continue tomorrow further with file reader. Okay, we'll continue further with file reader. See, I'm going to start with the Linux batch in the next upcoming 10 days, 10 to 12 days. This will be an open batch. Open batch means anybody can sit and learn Linux. Okay, your friends, your relatives, anyone. Okay, so people will firstly get an idea, that myth, that we should not study Linux. Correct? So we are going to give them the clarity in detailed manner. Point number one. Okay. Point number two, we are going to cover Linux in detailed manner. Okay, which will give you a lot of idea about that why we have to learn Linux and how to use this in reality. Because without starting with Linux, we will not be able to proceed with DevOps or even deployment. So you understand the first flaw. People, they learn development, but today what has happened now, just having basics knowledge of development will not help you. They want development plus deployment. Correct? The development knowledge plus the deployment knowledge. Okay, this is what is happening. Now, if you want to know how to deploy my application, for that, firstly, you should be aware of these cloud services. Okay, that how do we create a server in that, how infrastructure setup is being done in that, all these services we should be clear with that. Once we are clear with the cloud services, then comes is automation of deployment. Okay, we will do the complete setup of my deployment such that moment I write my code and put it in GitHub, if there is a code change, automatically my new deployment will happen to the server. So how do we do all of these things? So these are all very, very important things. Don't tell me I'm a fresher. Why should I learn this? See, fresher, when you join an IT company, you will also work as a developer only, or they'll give you some other job. आप fresher हो, मेरे लिए चाय बना के लेके आ जाओ. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा ना. आपको भी वही प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करना है जो एक्सपीरियंस लोग काम करने वाले. तो ये मिथ जो क्रिएट करके रखा हुआ है स्पेशली कि फ्रेशर हो बेटर, आप सिर्फ डीएसएससी को और जॉब लग जाएगी, पहले तो ये मिथ खत्म करना है. ओके, वी वांट बेस्ट टैलेंट्स. Okay, we want the best talents. You see, anyways, I don't update my website. It has a lot of old information. There's one of the guy who has taken 21 lakhs package. The first image when you go to my website, you see there, Dushrat or something. That guy has taken 21 lakhs package. He's a fresher. He's in Japan right now. When he got placed, he was a fresher. जब skills अच्छे से डालोगे resume में ना, okay, they should forget that you're a fresher. Skills ऐसा होना चाहिए resume में. That will attract them. Otherwise हम क्या करते? I'm a fresher. Completed Java course, 7 months of training completed. Please give me job. There's a standard thing, right? And you feel I'm a fresher, they should be considerate towards me. चलो 3 साल पहले तो हो भी जाता था. अभी के मार्केट में आप फ्रेशर हो एक्सपीरियंस हो मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. IT companies are very business minded now. He's capable of working, I will hire him. Not capable of working, I will not hire him. You don't give me reasons of fresher. So freshers hiring is gone, which means fake drives will happen. कितने लोगों ने यहाँ पे फेक ड्राइव्स अटेंड किया बताओ? How many people attended fake drive? Then you realize it's a fake drive. हाँ, आपने अटेंड किया है, किसी ने किया है? 500 रुपया दो, 1000 रुपया दो. हाँ, आपके साथ हुआ? मेल्स आते रहते, करेक्ट. और हम क्या करते फिर? We become a victim of that. They'll tell 500 rupees for return test. If you clear, it is for IBM, our client. आपको लगता है IBM ऐसा चिल्लर बिजनेस करेगा? 500 रुपया रिटर्न टेस्ट का लेगा और कंसल्टेंसी को अपना रिक्वायरमेंट देगा कि चलो तुम 500 रुपया लो और मेरे नाम पे आप टेस्ट कंडक्ट करो. ऐसा चिल्लर बिजनेस करेगा क्या IBM? Right? They are not interested in all these sort of things. You have to be very good, excellent. Okay? और सेकंड चीज है, आप मानो या ना मानो, डेफिनेटली इन बैंगलोर, आई वुड से बैंगलोर इज नाउ नंबर 1 फॉर फेक ड्राइव्स. करेक्ट, नंबर 1. इतना आगे जा चुका बैंगलोर फेक ड्राइव्स में कि आप सोच भी नहीं सकते. राइट, बैंगलोर. और इसका टक्कर देने वाला है नोएडा. बैंगलोर का टक्कर देने वाला है नोएडा. एक टाइम पे नोएडा आगे था. नोएडा बहुत आगे था ये सब काम करने में, तिकड़मबाजी दिमाग बोलते हैं ना, ये चलाने में नोएडा बहुत आगे था. अब बैंगलोर ओवरटेक कर लिया है, राइट, इन टर्म्स ऑफ फेक ड्राइव. करेक्ट, आप देखिए रिजल्ट्स बताएगा, नंबर नहीं रहेगा. ओके, सेकंड चीज है, नोएडा की हवा यहाँ बैंगलोर में आ चुकी है. जैसे नोएडा में क्या होता है, दैट पीपल दे कीप एजेंट्स, राइट, इन एवरी पीजीज. अब वो एजेंट का काम क्या होता है कि स्टूडेंट का ब्रेन वॉश करना और एडमिशन करवाना है. अब जब वो एडमिशन हो जाएगा स्टूडेंट का, तब बेसिकली वो स्टूडेंट क्या करेगा, बोलेगा कि देखो मेरा एडमिशन हुआ है, चलो इसने फीस भर दिया है, इसमें से मेरा कमीशन मुझे दे दो. करेक्ट, ये होता है. नेक्स्ट क्या हो गया है, ये हवा बैंगलोर में भी आ गई. तो यहाँ पे भी बदमाश लोग बदमाशियां करके घूम रहे. राइट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं मेरा फ्यूचर देखूंगा कि किसी और का फ्यूचर देखूंगा? पहले मैं मेरा देखूंगा, यस और नो, कि मेरे को काम मिला है नहीं मिला. अब यहाँ पे भी आपको बदमाश यूट्यूबर्स घूमते मिलेंगे. राइट, मतलब उनका खर्चा पानी कैसे चल रहा है, थिंक अबाउट इट. खर्चा पानी कैसे चल रहा है? राइट, इनका खर्चा पानी कैसे चल रहा है बताओ मुझे। अब कोई भगवान बन के घूम रहा है यहाँ पे कि हम मदद करेंगे, हम मसीहा है, राइट? क्या बोलते? वी आर गोइंग टू हेल्प पीपल, करेक्ट? एंड वी आर बेसिकली व्हाट? सपोर्टिंग फ्रेशर्स टू आइडेंटिफाई द राइट इंस्टीट्यूट। मसीहा बन के घूमते रहेंगे, करेक्ट? तो उनका खर्चा कैसे चल रहा है? यस और नो? तो वो अनेक अनेक वीडियोस बनाएंगे, फिर क्या होता है, इंक्वायरी आता है, फिर बोलते हैं फॉर्म फिल करो, फिर हम आपसे बात करते, एंड उसके बाद क्या करेगा, उसके बाद बोलेगा कि देखो ऐसा है कि आप यहाँ पे ज्वाइन कर लो, पक्का जॉब लग जाएगा। अब देखो, अब आपका देखने का नजरिया और मेरे देखने का नजरिया बहुत अलग है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सिंपल सी बात है, अब मैं अगर यहाँ पे जाता हूँ, वो सभी के लेता है, सभी के वीडियोस बनाता है वो बदमाश, फिर क्या करता है, एक के साथ टाई अप लेगा। अब मेरे नाम से बच्चे आए, आपके नाम से बच्चे आए, वो क्या करेगा, अभी मत जाओ, अब बेटर है आप यहाँ पे चले जाओ, आपके लिए ये बेटर होगा। समझे क्या? तो ये क्या करता है, देखो मैं आपको बताता हूँ अभी, कैसे पकड़ना है बोल के। तो अगर आप जाओगे, इसने, हाँ, देखो अभी ये, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ये सभी का बनाएगा। ओके, दृष्टि आईएएस का भी बना देगा ये। अब देखो, अब ये क्या करेगा, अब ये बच्चा देखो, इतना भोला सा बच्चा ये बेचारा, ओके, सब दाव पेच करके आया, ओके, पैसे वैसे भर के आया। अब देखो, ये देखना यहाँ पे, ये क्या बताएगा यहाँ पे कि इतने सारों की जॉब लग गई। देखो, ये रिकॉर्ड बताएगा इतने सारों की जॉब, नंबर का है, मोबाइल नंबर का है। देखो, अब बेसिकली क्या होगा कि आपको नंबर्स बताएगा यहाँ पे कहीं पे। देखो ये वाला फाइल में, हाँ, अब इसमें एक नंबर निकाल दो, प्ले स्टूडेंट का मोबाइल नंबर एक दिखा दो, राइट? फिर क्या होता है, कमीशन लेगा, शॉर्टकट्स कामें करेंगे। अब कल जाके आपकी जॉब नहीं लगी, उसको क्या, उसको कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, ठीक है? तो वी हैव टू बी लिटिल केयरफुल, एंड यू नो ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पे भी चालू हो चुकी है, तो अपने को थोड़ा सा अवेयर रहना है। कोई किसी की मदद नहीं करेगा, आपको समझना है, वो खुद के फायदे के लिए मदद करेगा। अब कोई पानी पूरी फ्री में बेचेगा क्या? कोई बेचेगा फ्री में पानी पूरी? हाँ, यहाँ बीटीएम में कोई है बेचने वाला? बैंगलोर में रहना मतलब दो लोगों के खर्चे 15-15 हजार, 30 हजार रुपया, फर्स्ट थिंग। घूमना फिरना अनदर 5 हजार, 35 हजार, करेक्ट? और आपके 10 हजार, 5 हजार व्यू से आपको क्या लगता है यूट्यूब आपको हजारों रुपया दे देगा? राइट? तो आपको केयरफुल रहना। इज दिस क्लियर एवरीवन? ओके, इसीलिए हम ये अवेयरनेस बैचेस क्यों कर रहे, ये सब गिमिक्स नहीं करेंगे। फिर बोलता है कि आप ज्वाइन करने के बाद अलग गिमिक्स चलते रहेंगे वहां पे। तो थोड़ा सोचिए, एनालाइज करिए, आप तो सब होशियार हो। हम ओपन बैचेस रखने का रीजन ये है कि हम स्टडीज के हिसाब से अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करेंगे, हमें क्या पढ़ना है, हमें क्या सीखना है, हमें क्या करना चाहिए, हम वो चीजों पे ध्यान देके काम करें। इज दिस क्लियर? अब उसके वजह से क्या हो रहा है, बच्चे दो दो बार पैसा भर दे रहे, वहां पे भरने के बाद अपने यहाँ पे काफी रीएडमिशन है, सारे रिकॉर्डेड क्लासेस लेने वाले। मतलब आप देखोगे पूरा फाइल मेरे कैबिन में, पता नहीं कितने लोगों ने देखा है, नहीं देखा है? किसी ने देखा है? आपने देखा है? आपने देखा है, राइट? आपका भी तो रीएडमिशन ही है। कौन से इंस्टीट्यूट से हो आप? जे स्पाइडर से हो? रेकमेंड किया था क्या इन्होंने? नहीं, हाँ, मतलब हाँ। और किसका रीएडमिशन है यहाँ पे? कोई है रीएडमिशन वाला यहाँ पे? अब ये कैसे कोर्स बेच रहे, जावा एंड पाइथन दोनों मिक्स करके बेचेंगे। भैया एक सब्जेक्ट सीखने के लिए मतलब ये हो जा रहा है, आप बोल रहे हो कि इंजीनियर भी बन जाओ, एमबीबीएस भी कर लो। आपको समझना है, एक सब्जेक्ट पढ़ने में हम लोग थक जा रहे हैं। तो ये सब क्या होता है कि दिस इज जस्ट ट्रिक्स ऑफ सेलिंग द कोर्सेज। अगर बच्चे प्लेस्ड हो रहे तो अलुमनाई मीट करो। यस और नो? अलुमनाई मीट क्यों नहीं कर रहा है कोई भी? जहां इतना ही सिलेबस कॉपी हो जाता है तो अलुमनाई मीट कॉपी कर रहे में क्या अर्थ है? अलुमनाई मीट करो। अग्रीड और नॉट? जहां इतना ही सब हो जाता है, एक काम करो कि आप बेसिकली जो भी प्लेसमेंट है मोबाइल नंबर रख लो। अब जो बच्चा प्लेस्ड है उसका मोबाइल नंबर देने में प्रॉब्लम क्या है? वो थोड़ी ना, चलो 100 बार कॉल आ गया वो मना करेगा, एक या दो बार तो दे ही सकते हैं ना। एक्सेल रेडी है, नाम है, नंबर नहीं है। इंस्टाग्राम पे फोटो है, वो इंसान ही नहीं है। यस और नो? आजकल एआई इतना खतरनाक बन गया है कि फेस ऐप बोल के एक एप्लीकेशन आता है। फेस ऐप में इसका फोटो लो, इसको पूरा बदल दूंगा मैं। राइट? आप डाउनलोड करना, अपना फ्रेंड का फोटो लेना, फिर उसको कैनवा में डालेंगे। कैनवा में डाल के क्या करेंगे, फोटो को एडिट कर देंगे, एडिट करके क्या करेंगे, फिर अपलोडेड, प्लेस्ड। अब वो खुला खुला दिख रहा है, वो लड़की के बाल पूरा ऐसा करके ऐसा डाला हुआ है। राइट? देखिए मैं आपको क्लियरली बताता हूँ। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आप मुझे ये बताना ये जेन्यून है या फेक है? कौन सा सर्च करे, बोलो किसका सर्च करे? हाँ, आप जो बोलोगे वही सर्च करते हैं, अपने को क्या है। राइट? अब आप देखना यहाँ पे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सर्च करो भाई, अब लॉग इन करना पड़ेगा क्या? खुद सर्च करो, समझेगा आपको, एक बार सर्च करो आपको दिखेंगे सारे सारे चीजें फेस ऐप पे करके। राइट? ये लंबे लंबे बाल एकदम कुछ भी कर देंगे। चलो एनीवेज बाय, टेक केयर, अपने को क्या करना है भाई। बाय, टेक केयर। किसी को 1000 रुपया मांग रहा था कोई।